Alright, here we go. So I am playing the best deck in the game, Scare Claws at the moment, and then my opponent is playing three of the four hearts. Uh, Basically the Visa Starfrost. There are three different types, archetypes. You got your tier limits, you got your Scare Claws, you got your Manadiums, and then you got your Cashteras. He's playing tier limit, Scare Claws, and Manadiums. Now the Cashteras don't really play well with the other three archetypes, so of course that's why he's not running that. I don't know at this point that he's playing three of the four archetypes. I'm assuming that he's only playing tier limits because he's making tier limits plays. So he then goes ahead and starts milling, and he goes into Kit Kalos. Now me, I always save the impermanence to imperm the Kit Kalos. To me, this is where they're going to search a card. Usually it's the card that he's already used the effect of, which is Tier Limits Cashtera, and then activate this. Boom, they can mill like 8 cards, and then they get the Tier Limits Cashtera off the field. They mill 2 more, making it a 10 card mill altogether. They then go into Rule Close, and then he starts popping off with the Manadiums. Now, Manadiums is kind of the bridge because of this card right here. Manadiums is the bridge between the tier limits and the Scare Claws for the decks. Mainly because Manadiums can pop the tier limits that are on the field, then allowing them to get their effects that happen in the graveyard. And then, as a synchro, they can then go into the Link 1 searcher for Scare Claws. So there's 4 different types of hearts in the lore. There is the Xyz archetype, which is the Cashteras, and then there are the Synchros, which happen to be Manadiums, the Fusions, which happen to be tier limits, and then the Links, which happen to be the Scareclaws. So he is then going to activate the Pearl of Reno field spell right here. And then, of course, tier limits is, this one is negated. He then uses this card to pop that one. And then he's going to go into his Scareclaw plays. He then grabs Scream and then the field spell, and then he's going to activate the field spell. Now I'm glad to see this field spell right here, because the other one, if he can summon on my turn, basically he would have been able to pop my cards, but this one can't do jack shit on my turn. So kind of glad about that. So let's look at his end board. We don't know what this card is. We know this is Tier Limits Meta Noise because this is the card that he searched, which is right there. He searched it off of the Scream mill. He's going to be able to mill 3 once I summon something. And then this card doesn't really do anything. This card right here can revive a level 4 or lower monster from his graveyard, which I'm not too concerned about. And then also this card right here, if it gets sent to his graveyard, it can then trigger, and then he can go into a summon, right? Then he's also got just a dead field spell, his mystery card, and then of course he's got 2 shufflers in his graveyard, Keldo and Medora. So not really worried about anything else in his grave, just those 2. So I'll go ahead and activate Wanted, search for the Diabell Star, and then he activates that mystery card that was in his hand, and this just so happens to be the mystery card that is my win condition. So every time I special summon, he gets to draw a card off that Maxx. So let's take the Maxx challenge, my boy. So I'm going to summon a monster, and then he is going to flip that shit face down, ash up. And yes, I said ash, not ass. But he flips that shit face down, and okay. So I go ahead and search for Kurikari off of the ash. And then he is going to then trigger off his Kaleido Heart to send that card back, which is fine by me. I activate Triple Tactics Talent. And then I just take his Visa's Astrolabe because I knew that this card can't activate. So I just wanted to get it off of his side of the field. And then I summon out the Kurikari, which gets rid of his Tier Limits Kaleido Heart. Now, that's the beauty to getting rid of his Tier Limits Kaleido Heart. Even if he has one more fusion summon, like literally it's not anything that I would have to worry about too much. Because if he gets rid of this, he's got one more fusion summon that he could do, which is probably like a Rule Colossus. Is he going to go into Rule Colossus? Probably not. He's more than likely going to want to put this back into his deck going into something else, right? So he couldn't summon this back onto the field because basically if this card leaves the field, like if something happens, it leaves the field, I tribute it off so it can't come back off of that tribute. So that was the beauty to getting Kurikari. That's also a way to dodge these cards' effects. So if they activate and you Kurikari, they don't get their effects when they hit the graveyard. So I'm then going to activate my field spell, setting a card back here. I then activate the original Sinful Spoils. And then this triggers him to use his shufflers. Now, this is all a part of my plan. I wanted him to pay attention to my graveyard with his shuffler because now that's one less shuffler that I gotta worry about. Now, does he even see the big picture? And would you look at that? He's actually playing the fourth. So technically he's playing all four hearts because he's got Tier Limits Kashtira in his grave. So he's actually playing all four hearts. And I guess this counts. So there we go. We got one more shuffler. He's got 8 cards in his deck. Bro, do you see? I haven't even... Bro, I can summon 8 times easy. Easy with this deck. So I go ahead and go into IP Masquerena, go into Sprite Elf. Boom, activate Sprite Elf to revive the IP Masquerena. Use the IP Masquerena plus my other body right here to go into Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess revives the Oak. Use Oak to send the field spell. Bro, I don't need that field spell. Summon out Flamberge. And would you look at that, bro? What you doing? What you doing back here, my boy? What you doing? You looking a little light right here, my boy. You activating your shuffler, my boy? What you doing? You at the mercy of something? Bro, this man was slaved to his own card. He was slaved to his own card. If you're going to play a meal deck like Tier Limits, you should never put Maxx in it for this reason right here. You gonna look like this. It don't take much. See, here's the thing. He's constantly trying to mill so he can break my board, but I'm constantly like, this was the win condition that I had in my head. Like, if you pay attention, I was doing summons that didn't make sense. Not even with the intention to break his board. I wasn't even attempting to break his board. My whole intention was simply to deck him out from the moment I started playing. From the moment he activated Maxx, my whole intention was just to deck him out. I didn't even play in a way that was optimal for beating my opponent by battling or doing any of the traditional standards. My whole goal from the get-go was to deck him out because I knew that he was going to be dumb enough to start milling while under Maxx, and then I'd be able to just deck this motherfucker out. And then I knew that once I tried to activate the first Flamberge, I didn't even have enough monsters in my graveyard to get the effect when he shuffled them back. I literally just sent that bitch to see what would happen. And he started shuffling my shit back. So I made him waste one of his shufflers, my boy. So boom, activate the Flamberge. I just put this right here because I don't care. I just want to. So at this point, I'm just making summons. He activates his Tier Limits Kashtira. And I guess this is just out of rage. And boom. Summon out World Seed Zelantis. If you know anything about Zelantis, bro, I still could have summoned. This would have got everything off the field, resummoned it back out. He would have drawn another card. Then Promethean Princess would have summoned. He would have drawn another card. Then on top of that, I could have went into the extra deck, made Pit Knight Earl or Nightmare Phoenix. Boom. Nightmare Phoenix can allow me to draw a card. Like, bro, he was cooked. You feel me? He was cooked. So here's the deck that I was playing right here. None other than Snake Eyes. And this is basically just your typical Snake Eyes deck, aside from the ratios a little bit. If you want to know what cards these are, literally just go to Master Duel Meta. It's basically the exact same deck, except they usually, on the Master Duel Meta website, they usually only run two of these, and they only usually run one or two of the original Sinful Spoils. Um, they usually run two of these, and then whatever, two of these. But I play it for consistency, and this helps me make my plays consistently. This is the best way that I've found not to brick with this deck, is to play it like this, because original Sinful Spoils can basically use your hand traps to get your combos started. I don't know what you're thinking, bro. How the fuck can you use these with this card to get your combo started? How can Maxx be a combo starter? Well, let me tell you. If you were to use Diabell Star summons onto the field, and then you activate, you set the original Sinful Spoils from your deck to the field. You flip this over, and it sends this card, and this card literally does nothing for the combo at that point, which is exactly what this would do. And this, it's basically just, it's just sending something. It sends anything, bro. You could send a field spell to pop off with this card. So hopefully that makes sense to y'all. And that's how you pretty much cook with Snake Eyes. So I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.